Yo, what is good, everybody? This is Jonah from the Anime Society, and welcome to the second episode of our weekly podcast. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Along with me today, as usual, is my lovely co-host Hunter. So, how you doing today, brother?
Hey everybody, how's it going? Feeling good over here. I hope everybody's having a good time. Obviously still with us doing social distancing, hoping everybody is still great. But I do want to extend a huge thank you from myself and Jonah for everybody that listened to the first episode. It was, it blew our expectations how the first episode did. And for those of you that are tuning in today and haven't heard the first episode, we highly recommend that you go back and listen to that, because today is going to be a little bit of a continuation of what we kind of spoke on in episode 1. But again, a huge thank you to all of you that have shown support so far on our early journey.
For sure, and thank you so much for all the feedback you guys gave us as well. We got some really good constructive criticism this last week about our episode. And we're honestly doing everything that we can to make this better each and every week. So if you have any suggestions, have anything you guys want us to do, any topic suggestions even, feel free to comment, send us a message so that way we can get that in. So to introduce our topic today, because last week we talked about why the Western world should embrace anime, and one of the popular themes throughout our episode was the fact that in anime itself, there is a niche for everyone. Depending on your interests, what kind of media you like, what kind of genres you like, there is going to be some anime we are 100% confident that you will thoroughly enjoy. And so this week, we wanted to go through a variety of popular genres and recommend some anime to you. We're going to talk about a couple, popular American entertainment titles as well, so you have kind of a comparison, a basis for what you can expect yourself to get into. So without further ado, here we go. So our first genre that we're going to talk about is fantasy. Fantasy itself is a pretty large genre, but think anything, Harry Potter, Disney, anything to do with magic, fantasy worlds, witches, wizards, all that kind of stuff. So, Hunter, take it away.
And with that, the first title I'm going to bring to you underneath the fantasy category that I believe everybody would enjoy. It is argued to be one of the best anime that have ever been created. It is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. And I have to preface this as well whenever I talk about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. There are two anime under the name Fullmetal Alchemist, but there's only one of them that is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Both of them are in reference to the same manga, just one of them follows the storyline of the manga a little bit more than the other one, and that one would be Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. You can watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood on Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll. There's about 64 episodes, so be prepared to deep dive into a great journey. So a little bit about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. It is about two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, the Elric brothers. That's who they're going to be referred to. And what it is basically their father left them when they were young. And then their mother became sick and she died. And then they started to dabble in, it's in the name, alchemy. They started to dabble in alchemy. And they tried to learn alchemy so that they could bring back their dead mother, which is taboo in the world of alchemy. And since they tried that, taboo, almost, if you would put it, kind of like it's cursed to even try to do that, one of them ended up losing their whole body except their spirit, and the other one, which that was Alphonse, and then Edward lost his arm, because in alchemy there's a give and a take. Whatever you give, then you can take back, and they tried to take too much by bringing somebody back from the dead. And so the story then begins with Edward saving his brother's spirit and putting him in a huge metal suit of armor. And the story then goes, they're looking for this stone called the Philosopher's Stone, and Edward believes with the Philosopher's Stone he will be able to return Alphonse's body to his spirit. And it's a great journey from there on. You get introduced to wonderful characters. I know there's a whole other show called The Seven Deadly Sins, but you are also introduced to the Seven Deadly Sins here in this anime as well, and it is absolutely worth the watch if you get the chance. So that is my recommendation first underneath the fantasy category.
And Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is beautifully, beautifully animated. The story is fantastic. There are some amazing real-world themes that you see throughout the story, such as corruption in government, slavery, genocide, etc. It's definitely the darker of our two recommendations for the fantasy genre, but absolutely worth every second that you spend watching it. So our second recommendation, like I said, this is a little bit on the lighter side as opposed to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, is a little known anime called Little Witch Academia. This one is it's kind of like the Harry Potter of the anime sphere. It follows a young girl, the protagonist. Her name is Atsuko Kagari, and she is an aspiring witch. Magic is prevalent throughout this entire world, except that Atsuko Kagari, she comes from, to put it in a way I guess Harry Potter fans would understand, she's of Muggle birth. Essentially, she doesn't have a very good magical pedigree. She wasn't born with very much natural talent, etc. And so she enrolls in the Hogwarts of this world called Luna Nova Magical Academy. And it basically follows her and her two best friends as they strive to learn what it means to be a witch. They go on crazy adventures. The whole thing is beautifully animated, really cool color schemes. Definitely recommend checking that one out.
All right, and now for our next topic. It's a big one here stateside. Superheroes. Whether it's Marvel, DC, or even you growing up thinking your own superhero, creating yourself as your own superhero. Here in America, we love superheroes. And I know Hollywood loves superheroes so much, I feel like we get 2 or 3 new superhero movies every year. But these anime are for those that are superhero movie, superhero TV show fans, and maybe want something in the anime world that you can correlate to being superheroes. Take it away, Jonah.
So our first recommendation for this genre is an anime called My Hero Academia. This one, I think some people might be familiar with, as it's gained a pretty good amount of traction in the U.S. Like I mentioned on the last episode, I even saw an Arby's commercial with a toy advertising the new movie for My Hero Academia. But it's a fantastic anime. Basically what it's about is it's set in present day Japan, and several years in the past in this world, the appearance of what they call quirks started happening in China. And these quirks are essentially superpowers. And at the present day in the story, over 80% of people in the world possess a quirk. They possess some kind of superpower. And so the protagonist, his name is Izuku Midoriya, and he is one of the few people that was born without a quirk. He's quirkless. However, he has the aspiration to become the world's greatest superhero. And it follows his journey. It introduces a ton of characters. This is one of those anime that have, almost like 20 protagonists that you follow throughout the story. It's fantastic. The animation is top tier. The characters are great. The superpowers are really creative. And it really does bring to light, I think, some of the questions I would have if society became a superhero society. You have this power struggle between villains and heroes and what justice is, etc. It's absolutely fantastic and definitely one of my top recommendations.
Next on the superhero list is another one of the newer anime to come out maybe within the last 3 to 4 years, at least animation wise. The manga has been out for a little while, but that is none other than One Punch Man. Everybody's favorite wannabe superhero, Saitama, arguably one of the strongest anime characters I've ever seen in my life, where literally one punch can blow a man to smithereens. This is one of those takes where, well, first of all, let me preface. You can watch this on Netflix, Hulu, and Crunchyroll. And I know Season 2 is on Hulu. It is not on Netflix. So if you're looking for Season 2, it is on Hulu. They are short seasons. Season 1 for One Punch Man was only 12 episodes, so you can get in and knock this out in a binge-worthy day. You got a lot of time right now. I don't see why you wouldn't try it. But One Punch Man's main character, Saitama, essentially, he did like thousands of push-ups, ran a couple miles a day, and did thousands of squats and sit-ups, and ended up becoming the world's strongest man. Now, is there a secret behind that? Is there something lying deeper to his power? That is a huge question mark around the whole series. But what it does, it introduces you to some great characters. There's Saitama, there's Genos, there's Boros, who pops up towards the end of Season 1. It's another superhero-filled show, and they have class systems for these heroes, whether you're a Class C hero, a Class B, a Class A, and a Class S hero. So you get to meet heroes of all different sizes. Some of them are huge, some of them are small. You get to meet them of all different types of powers. Some of them have super strengths like Saitama. Some of them are cyborgs like Genos, who is part man, part machine. So they're introducing a slew of characters, a slew of bad guys. You even have one guy who claims himself King of the Sea. So it's really fun, it's really enjoyable, and it's another one of those series that just introduce you to a bunch of characters that have super cool powers. The story-wise, some people would say it's not the best, but I will tell you what, on an entertainment value, if you like superhero action-packed shows, this is one for you.
For sure. It's another one of those ones that has absolutely top-tier animation, too. The whole thing is stunning. And on top of that, it's hilarious. It is one of the funniest anime that I've seen in my life. So
it's like a sarcastic take on being a superhero.
Oh, yeah. And it makes fun of a lot of the stereotypical anime tropes that are out there. Yeah. And it's absolutely hilarious. You'll just have to watch it to find out.
It is funny.
Fantastic. I want to say just one quick interjection. I think what we can do is after we get done with going through everything, we'll make sure to add in the description where you can find each one of these animes, what platform you can find it on.
Yeah.
That way it's easy just to have a reference. You don't have to go scrolling through the video to try to find where everything is. So with that, let's move on. Our next genre is the action-adventure genre. And so action-adventure can be really broad. So think things like, Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia. Anything where you have the main characters have some kind of end game goal, and they're traveling throughout the world, meeting different people, different species, etc., in order to achieve an end game. And so, Hunter, take it away with the first one we have.
So the first one we're going to talk about is an all-time favorite of mine. Arguably could be my favorite anime, and I've also finished the manga as well, and it still reigns top tier for me. So it is going to be The 7 Deadly Sins. Seasons 1 and 2 are on Netflix. There's about 50-plus episodes. You're going to really enjoy it. But when you go to Netflix, I need you to understand something. It's going to have Season 1, 2, and 3. That Season 2 that they have on Netflix is only like 4 episodes, and they're like little fillers. It's really not the Season 2. I know it sounds confusing, but Season 3 on Netflix is the real Season 2. So now that I've got that out of the way, and you know exactly what you're watching, let's dive a little bit deeper. So the 7 Deadly Sins, it is a group that has been formed here in the country of Britannia. And basically, the leader of this group's name is Meliodas, and he is the dragon sin of wrath. And he's put together this band, some of them would say, of just misfits. They were kind of misfits, and they were kicked out of their groups, and essentially what they're doing, they were put together to be the highest order of the Holy Knights in Britannia. And one of the things that brought this up was, years ago, there was the start of this holy war. And what it was the demon clan versus the goddess clan. And then all of the other clans in between, the fairies, the humans, and the giants, they got caught up in between having to pick sides who to fight for, either the goddess clan or the demon clan. And so that huge war broke out, and the demon clan was then sealed away into the demon realm, Well, now, imagine that. Somebody's trying to resurrect the Demon Clan. And so that's something that is the underlying premise of the show, to try and stop the resurrection of the Demon Clan, and to try and end this 1,000-year holy war. What I like about it is the fact that it does bring in the 7 deadly sins as multiple different characters who have crazy personalities, from Bon all the way to King, who's basically a lazy lard, and then whenever you finally get to meet the man, the myth, the legend himself, Escanor, hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because it's literally night and day from any other character that's in that show. I think the show does a great job of character progression and of building up these characters and giving you good backstories. I think that's one of the things a lot of people need to really look for as well when they watch anime, is make sure that they give good backstories to each of these characters, because then you start to have a little bit more of an emotional connection with these characters. The story is great. If you do want to read the manga, I highly I highly say that you should, but I know we're talking about anime, but I think you should watch it too, because this is another one, Jonah. The animation was done fantastic. I think they did a great job with the animation as well, and it's just given me so many characters that I've enjoyed coming to know, and it gives me probably one of my favorite characters in Bond. So I could sit here and talk about the 7 deadly sins probably for the rest of this show, but I know we've got one more to put into the action adventure. The reason why we put this in action adventure as well, though, is because it is Britannia. It is kind of like a group of people all forged together to try and bring like an end goal, kind of like in Lord of the Rings. They were trying to obviously destroy the ring and prevent the depths of Mordor from rising again. So there's a little bit of that premise there. They're trying to prevent the Demon Clan from coming back, and to me, it's based in Britannia. They have a city called Camelot. They have King Arthur Pendragon in there. So it's like, dude, if that's not a little bit of an adventure story, I don't know what is.
Oh, for sure, and it's fantastic. I second everything that you just said, Hunter. It's a fantastic show, so be sure to check that out. The next one that we have in the action adventure category is my second favorite title of all time, as I said last week, Hunter x Hunter. Don't be confused with the X in the middle. It's just a weird thing that they do in the anime where they put X between words. I don't know why, but it's still pronounced Hunter x Hunter. Just be wary of that when you're looking it up. This is one of the longer ones that we have here on this list. Most of I think all but just a few of these are 80 episodes or less. And so this one, Hunter x Hunter, is 148, so it's longer, but it is worth it. Trust me, it is worth every minute you spend watching it, because it is incredible. So it's set in this world. It's like a modern day world, It's not like the 7 deadly sins where it's set, in kind of a medieval age type setting. It's set in the regular present day. And in this world, there's a profession called a hunter, and they exist essentially to hunt things, whether that's capturing people, looking for lost treasures, discovering different territory, different foods, different animals, whatever. If you can hunt something, there is a job for you in the hunter society. However, it is extremely, extremely prestigious and hard to become a hunter. So the story follows the main character, the protagonist of the story is a boy named Gon, and he's 12 years old, I believe, and he doesn't remember his dad at all. His dad left him with his aunt, I believe, when he was really, really little. And his dad, all Gon knows about his dad is that his dad was a hunter, and that was the reason why he left Gon. So in Gon's head, he's very innocent, very just raw. And to him, if his dad gave up living with him to be a hunter, being a hunter must be the greatest thing in the entire world. So it is his life goal to become a hunter like his father and track him down and meet him. And so along the way, you meet the kind of the main cast. It's a main cast of 4 characters, and that's where the story follows. But you meet all kinds of different people with different powers. This is one of the best power systems in any anime that I've ever watched. It's really, really interesting. You'll have to watch to understand what I'm saying, but it's absolutely fantastic. The animation is great. Another note, make sure that you watch the 2011 version. There is a 1999 version, I believe,
Yes.
but in my opinion, the 2011 version is superior. So make sure you check that one out. Again, like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, this is one that's throughout the anime community is regarded as one of the best ever created. And I promise you, if you love things like Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia, you're going to love Hunter x Hunter. I showed it to my wife, and she loved it. So I guarantee that everyone who watches this will definitely enjoy it.
All right, and with that, that brings a close to the action and adventure ones that we're going to bring to you. Again, we're only going to give you maybe one or two because we kind of want you to branch out on your own and find what really you enjoy. But we're going to give you some great starter anime that you could really get into and bite your teeth into and enjoy early. So now, after action and adventure, we're going to go dun 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 romantic comedy. Who doesn't love a good rom-com in today's, world of movies? So with that, Jonah, go ahead and give him the first one under the romantic comedy category.
And I love romantic comedies. I'm not going to be one to say that I don't because it's not manly or anything. Romantic comedies are incredible. I love them. So the first suggestion that we have is it's called Kaguya-Sama, Love is War. Essentially, the plot of this is in Japan, present day, there is this school called the Shuchin Academy, and it's the best school in all of Japan. The two main characters that it follows is a boy named Miyuki Shirogane and a girl named Kaguya Shinomiya. And Miyuki, the boy, he is the student council president, and Kaguya is the student council vice president. So they stand atop any student in all of Japan at the high school level. They are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. And the premise of this story, it's kind of funny the way the show introduces it to you. It introduces it to you by saying, in any relationship, there is an abused and an abuser. There is a powerful and a powerless. Someone has to give something in any given relationship. And so love is a war. It's this constant power struggle. And so the two main characters, Miyuki and Kaguya, they are obviously in love with each other. However, in their heads, they can't be the first one to mention anything about liking the other person, because if they do, in that moment, they lose the war. So this one is fantastic. The side characters are hilarious. It literally is this like 4D chess, but in a relationship between two people. It's absolutely hilarious. One of my favorite rom-com animes of all time. It's really short. It's only like 12 episodes. So like Hunter was saying earlier, I mean, you can binge watch this in 2 days, which is what I did. It's absolutely fantastic.
Next one we're going to talk about is Maid-sama. Maid-sama, yes, I know what you're thinking. Oh, this is just going to be one of those big-breasted maid shows. And it's like, well, you know what? Possibly, yes. If you just look at it that way, then absolutely, then go all for it. No, but in all seriousness, it's talking about a once all-boys school, Seika High. It was renowned for the recklessness of the students, and then it has recently become, instead of all boys, co-ed. But even still, the minority is women. With that, Misaki, if that's I think that's the right way to say her name. Some people can say Misaki, how everybody says their names. It could be a little bit different. But Misaki is going to be one of the main characters in this show. She is a female protagonist, and what she is essentially trying to do is reform the school to allow there to be more of a chance for the girls to feel safer in this, quote, rough environment, end quote. And you can only imagine what that means after a school has been run by all boys. So a rough environment. With that, all the shenanigans and the fun stuff that they get into. However, though, despite her tough as nails appearance, she secretly works part-time at a maid cafe. But she does that, though, to help support her family. She's soon found out that she works as a maid. A popular boy, at Sika High, and you can kind of see, oh my god, it's getting juicy, the details, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And from there on, it just starts to build a little bit of a relationship throughout that schools and throughout those characters. It's really a fun show. It's something to kick back and relax to. It's not going to have possibly all of the high, tense drama that we would see in action-adventure or even just drama. I know that we'll get to that, a little bit of a thrillers. It's something you can just kick back, relax to, and enjoy the show. You could almost equivalate this, if you're looking TV show-wise. You know, a lot of people like to watch Friends. Friends, I know, is a little bit more of like a friendship based, but there's romance in there, and it's a comedy. You know, that whether or not, you know, Rachel is going to end up in the end with, oh god, I totally forgot his name. It's not Joey. Ross, yeah, with Ross. Well, I don't know why I drew a blank there, but it's one of those where you go along the journey, the way, and all of the fun and frivolous things that they get into. It's really enjoyable. So if you get the opportunity, Maid-sama, that is on Netflix and Hulu, and you're looking at about 26 episodes, which is still doable. I don't want to admit it, but that is an easy binge night for me. So it is 26 episodes for a romantic comedy if you are into that in the anime scene. So now we are going to flip-flop from a romantic comedy. This is on the other end of the spectrum. This is a little bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah. So the next topic we have are emotional, you know, drama, tear-jerking stories that they'll make you cry. They play your heartstrings. Odd that we decided to put that right after romantic comedy, but nonetheless. So, Hunter, take it away for our first tearjerker recommendation.
Our first tearjerker recommendation: Violet Evergarden. Now you can watch this on Netflix. It's 13 episodes. We'll say this as soon as we talk about Violet Evergarden. It's very pretty. It is a very pretty anime, and so is the next one. And so is the next one. Obviously, that Jonah will talk about it. The animation is just very good. It's pristine. It won. This is a fun fact. It won the grand prize in the 5th Kyoto Animation Award program. So for the novel category, this is based off of a light novel, and some people don't really get the difference between a manga and a light novel. That would be something for another episode. But essentially, a lot of anime have been created off of not just manga but light novels at the same time. This show has these things called auto memory dolls, which were created with the purpose of recording someone's speech and their emotions. It was invented by a man named Dr. Orland to bring happiness to his wife. The such dolls, though, are now being loaned out by companies after knowledge of his work became public. Moved by the work of the auto memory, a woman named Violet Evergarden decides to take up her duties. Beautiful with golden hair and crystal blue eyes, she quickly becomes the most popular doll, leaving all her clients delighted by her company. Violet Evergarden is a compilation of heartwarming short stories revolving around the life of the graceful Auto Memories doll as she serves her different clients. And I know 100% I read that. You could tell I was reading that off of a prompt. Well, I know you could tell that. But I wanted you to just understand a little bit of the background, because it's something that I'm still not 100% versed in, but I do know that it is a tearjerker. It has brought me to tears once or twice. I'll admit it. Men out there, don't be afraid to show your emotions, and this is one of them. If Marley and me can bring me to my emotions, then this show can too. It's enjoyable. Some of her heartwarming short stories, they're great to see, and it's really touching. So Violet Evergarden is going to be one. Again, I'm not 100% versed in it, and I'm not going to try to be, but I know that it is highly rated. I'm looking at this website, and it's got it out of 10. It's an 8.6 score. So if you're if you're a ratings guy, then that's pretty high ratings. So with that, Violet Evergarden is going to be mine that I talk about. Jonah, you probably know a little bit more about the next one you're talking about. So go ahead and give them your topic.
I just want to say one thing about Violet Evergarden too. What's really unique about this story as well is that Violet, the main character, was originally created as kind of like a human weapon. And there was this massive war in the world that lasted 4 years. The war's finally over, and her commander, who was kind of like father figure no, I'd say more of like a lover almost in her mind. He ends up dying in the war, and so she's kind of left without knowing what to do. And that's when she discovers the auto memory dolls. And it kind of, through her escapades in these little short stories, she slowly finds herself and learns what it means to develop emotional connections with other people and learn to feel something even when everything that she knew and loved was taken away from her after this war. And so with that, let's go on to the next one. The next one is an anime called Your Lie in April. This one is on Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, on all the major platforms. It's only 22 episodes long, but it is extremely sad. The story is great, and it just hard. The premise is you have this piano prodigy. His name is Kusei Arima, and he is this absolutely fantastic pianist. And I should go back. Yeah, absolutely fantastic pianist. But he has trauma from playing the piano because his mom, who was his instructor, was very, very abusive. And so after his mom ends up passing away, he becomes unable to hear the sound of his own piano. So he's not deaf. He can talk to people. He can hear other music. It's only when he plays his own music on the piano, he can no longer hear it from that trauma. And so he avoids playing the piano at all costs. And then he ends up running into this girl whose name is Kaori Miyazono, who is this beautiful, amazingly talented violinist. And you come to find out that she is actually sick with a terminal illness. And so she is helping him along his journey be able to open up and forgive and forget and open his heart again to music and the piano. At the same time, he knows that she only has a limited amount of time, and you can feel the love between them. You follow them on their journey, and the last episode is incredible. So it will definitely make you sad, though. I will say that.
All right, and now, no more tears. Let's wipe our eyes a little bit, because right now it's going to be another leap to the other end of the spectrum. We're going to talk about thriller and horror movies.
Yeah, who organized this?
I know. I don't know who organized this, but my word, we're jumping back and forth and back and forth. So for those of you that are just, used to thrillers or horrors, one of them that I know me and Jonah really enjoyed, Shutter Island. You want to talk about a real thriller? Most of us know about horror shows and horror movies. For some reason, horror is a huge genre. I don't know who likes to just be scared out of their mind. I know it's not me, but I do enjoy. It has to be the adrenaline, and let me tell you, one of these on here has got a lot of adrenaline. But let's go ahead and jump into thriller and horror anime that would be good for you. Take it away, Jonah.
So the one that I'm going to talk about is one that I just recently actually watched, and I read through the manga as well. It's called The Promised Neverland. It's only 12 episodes long. I think it's getting a season 2 here pretty soon, or it's already started. I can't remember. But it's only 12 episodes, so really short. You can find it on Hulu. You can find it on Crunchyroll. And so the story basically goes like this. It opens up, and you're introduced to this facility called the Grace Field House. And it's essentially this massive orphanage. It's surrounded by this huge forest. And even past the forest, you have these massive, massive walls and gates so that no one can escape. Already a little bit suspicious, but the kids, they're innocent, whatever. And so these kids that are in this orphanage, they're of all ages not all ages. They're from about, newborns to 12, 13 years old. And every now and then a kid will get adopted and they'll never see him again. And these kids, they don't worry about it. They have this lady who takes care of them in the orphanage and everyone calls her Mama. And so the story follows 3 primary protagonists. And what happens is there's one child that is adopted, and she forgets her stuffed animal, her favorite stuffed animal. And so these three kids who are the oldest in the orphanage, they're the smartest, most talented, most athletic, etc. They go to bring her stuffed animal back to her. And when they go over to the gate where they leave in order to drop the kids off when they become adopted, they find out that everything that they thought they knew about the Grace Field house and their mama is not what they thought it was. And they find out that their existence is actually one that is very, very dark and disturbing, and the entire thing is very twisted. I don't want to give it away because the first episode just had, like, it is gripping, absolutely gripping. So definitely tune into that one if you enjoy the thriller, horror, mystery, always on the edge of your seat, the adrenaline rush, that kind of thing. This one is definitely for you.
And now, the next one on our thriller horror list. Good Lord, man. I mean, how do I not get excited over this one? For those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, I might add a little snippet of just the opening song from season 1. So I'm just gonna do a quick pause here so I can insert it. Oh yeah, you know exactly what sound that is. That is Attack on Titan. You want to talk about a thriller? That's a thriller from episode 1. Attack on Titan can be found on Netflix, Hulu, and Crunchyroll. 59 episodes, and my God, I can't wait for season 4. I can't wait at all. I mean, this is the epitome. They've perfected this. We've talked about this, Jonah. They have perfected the cliffhanger in Attack on Titan. They have you absolutely gripping on the edge of your seat the whole episode, and then they hit you at the end with next, or like until next episode, and you're just like, no. Now see, it's easy for people to get into it now and just binge watch it. But if you're like we were, and you had to wait week to week for the next episode to come out, that's all you could think of. The main character in Attack on Titan is Eren Yeager. And I'm just going to say this about Eren Yeager. You want to talk about a crazy way to introduce him to you. The first episode was wild. Just wild. What happens to him in the first episode, what he experiences, essentially, you could almost say is like a living hell to him. So he goes through hell, not just episode 1, but episode 2, and episode 3, and episode all the way up to where we're at now. It's almost like he can't get out of this hell. The premise of Attack on Titan is essentially the humans have walled themselves up from the outside world because of these creatures called Titans. They are large, basically giants. You could just call them giants. They're just humanoid giants. They don't have any male or female genitalia, so you never know if they're male or female. They're grotesque looking, and it seems through their research the only thing that the Titans eat are humans. And so you can just listen to that and say, essentially, it's a bunch of humans versus a bunch of giants. That's exactly what it is. It's just the humans trying not to get eaten, but they're also trying to find the secret about the Titans and why the Titans are even here in the first place. And it's a long, windy cliffhanger, a bunch of drops here and there. The story is just wild, and I 100% would tell anybody that is looking to find a gateway anime that'll get you hooked from the instant it comes on. Attack on Titan is that anime.
I actually just showed it to a buddy not too long ago, and I showed him the first 2 episodes when he was over at my house. And he was like, wait, no, we can't stop there. We can't stop at episode 2. We have to keep watching it. And I think he watched everything in the series in the next 3 days. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. The story's great. The mystery in the story is absolutely fascinating. And as you progress through the story, everything that you thought you knew in episode 2 was wrong. And then what you thought in episode 20, you find out in episode 30 was wrong. And it's just absolutely amazing the way that they tell the story. So, and that one's actually, I think that was my number 3 on my list last week.
It was.
All right, so let's hop over to the next category. So this next category we have is strategy or intellectual. Anything like, think Sherlock Holmes, solving mysteries, a chess battle, battle of the wits, that kind of thing. These are the anime for you. So lead us off, Hunter.
And we're going to start with one that a lot of people in the anime community probably would agree is a great starter anime for anybody, not just because of it's not crazy complex, and it's not crazy out there, but the fact that it's just argued to be one of the best anime created. It goes down to being top 5 for a lot of people, and that's going to be Death Note. And Death Note follows the character Light, and that's his name, Light. Literally, I'm not just making that up. It's his name, Light. And essentially what it is there are these gods of death called Shinigami, and they control who lives and dies. Seriously, just because that's with their name, gods of death. And what they do, they have these books. Imagine that. And they write down in their book if they really want to kill somebody. That's essentially the premise of what a book of death is, and brings the name Death Note. So one of the Shinigami ends up dropping this into the human world, and not on accident. It's because he was bored. He wanted to see something happen. He was just tired of sitting there in the land of the Shinigami and them just sitting there playing dice or cards all day, not having anything to do. Well, it falls into the human world and into the hands of Light Yagami. And Light just is wondering what this is and what exactly he can do with it. And then from there, obviously he writes a name in the book and learns that any name that he writes in this, he can be so precise with it. He can write the name, he can write how they die, he can write when they die, and he then gets a power complex, almost like a god complex, thinking that he is the end-all be-all being, and that he is the one who can create judgment on all of those that have done wrong or have gotten away with murders and have just been horrible human beings. And so Light is going about doing this, and then his actions draw attention from the world, and they send one of their best detectives on the case, and then you're introduced to L, and then from there it begins to be the chess match between Light and L. Light trying to evade L, but L is always right there trying to catch Light in his work, trying to always get him to slip up so that L can pin him for being, the one that's killing everybody. It's just one of those strategy, intellectual mind games that you get to watch throughout the whole thing, and it's very enjoyable. You can find this on Netflix, Hulu, Crunchyroll, and there are 37 episodes, and it's worth it. It really is.
Oh yeah, and that one is absolutely incredible. It is another one that in the first 3 episodes you're absolutely hooked. And so the next one that we're going to talk about for the strategy intellectual side of things is an anime called Code Geass. It's about 50 episodes long, and it has arguably the best final episode of any show I have ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely amazing final episode. The plot goes a little something like this. So the year is 2010. I know that now that's in the past, but anyways, 2010. And this is another anime that uses Britannia as an empire. So you have the Holy Empire of Britannia, which has essentially taken over the large majority of the world. And they've subjugated Japan and renamed it Area 11. So Japan, after having been defeated, there are still rebel factions, etc. The protagonist's name is Lelouch Lamperouge, and he is Britannian, living in Area 11, living in Japan. And one day, the Japanese resistance tries to lead a small-scale battle against the Britannian Empire, and he finds himself caught in the crossfires. He is able to escape because he runs into this mysterious lady named Cece, who gives him the power of what they call the Geass. The Geass is basically the power of a king. And Lelouch gets the ability to issue commands if he locks eyes with you. He can issue one person one command, and they have to obey it. There's no way that they can disobey his command. And he essentially uses that to build power for himself and wage war on Britannia because of a grudge that he has that's revealed in his backstory. And this one is fantastic. Lelouch is an amazing protagonist. He walks this tightrope between good and evil, and this whole dynamic of justice and whether totalitarianism is a viable tactic, if it's okay to use underhanded methods as long as your goal is just and righteous. And it just plays it absolutely amazingly well. They use these robots, essentially, that those are the main weapons used in this show. They're called nightmare frames. Think like Transformers almost. And it's just awesome. The chess match between Britannia and Lelouch is incredible.
All right, and now we're going to hop over to our next topic, and that is war. You know, everybody loves good war movies. What is it, 1944? That was one of the newest movies that came out. Anything that has to do with what is it, Leatherheads? Or no, it's Jarhead. That's the one that's a war movie, and everybody loves a good war movie. We're talking A Good Morning Vietnam. I know that's kind of more of a funny movie, but it's got some war painted into it. War is a big factor of a lot of movies and a lot of what we do here in the States for Hollywood. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the war anime, or anime that have war mixed in with them. Jonah, go ahead.
All right, so the first one we want to talk about is an anime called Vinland Saga. Unlike all the other ones on this list, Vinland Saga is only available to watch on Prime Video, which is a shame. But if you do have Prime and you watch it, it is amazing, absolutely amazing. So the setting is, back hundreds of years ago, and it revolves around the Vikings of the past. And so you have this boy, his name is Thorfinn, and he is a young boy. He's living in Iceland, and his father is this legendary Viking in the history of war. His father, however, has retired from all of combat to live peacefully in Iceland, and he holds this very strong belief that war is never the answer, that it is never okay to hurt somebody. And this is kind of interesting because he is a war hero who experienced, many years for him to totally flip-flop his viewpoint. And he grows up teaching Thorfinn this, but, Thorfinn, he's a kid. He thinks, war is cool. That's how I bring honor to myself. That's how I gain clout. That's how I prove to my God that I am worthy to enter into paradise after I die. And so it revolves around the war between the Danes and England, and the Vikings are basically hired as mercenaries. And so Thorfinn, his dad, ends up getting killed by this group of Viking mercenaries. And so then you follow the story of Thorfinn as he grows up, as he battles with rage, as he battles throughout this war and tries to find his own way. It's incredible, really, really well animated, and the story is amazing. All the different philosophies, it's incredible.
Another one of the war ones that we are going to talk about, Fate Zero. I had spoken a little bit about the Fate series in our first episode. Fate Zero, if you just go based off of animation alone, it should be one that you watch anyways. I don't even have to tell you anything about the story-wise. If you are someone that just loves how animation looks, Fate Zero is for you. Ufotable does a fantastic job with that whole Fate series. Fate Zero can be found on Netflix, Hulu, and Crunchyroll. 25 episodes. That doesn't include Fate Stay Night and any of the other Fates, because there is a long list of Fate shows. But Fate Zero is one that I think everybody should watch and would enjoy if they do like war. Essentially what it is the war for the Holy Grail, and these masters are chosen all around the world. It's not just a Japanese-based thing. You've got masters that are coming in from England, some of them coming in from, Asia, North America, and essentially they're chosen because they can use a little bit of magic, and they use that magic to summon what are called servants. And it's a war between servants and their masters, essentially trying to be the last one standing to claim the Holy Grail. And one of the main characters in it is Kiritsugu, and he is just a beast. You will find that out if you watch Fate Zero. He's amazing. But what makes Fate Zero a little bit cooler for those that are just getting into it and are trying to enjoy Fate Zero is how they tie the servants back in with some real life legends. And what I mean by that is like war legends. You know, sometimes they'll talk about in the show they'll have them named like Rider or Saber or Lancer. They'll give them like their class name. That's what class they're a part of, and they'll just go by their class name. But if you try and look deeper, sometimes they'll try and figure out the real name of the servant, and then it can tell you a little bit about, you know, some of the skills that they possess. You know, there might be one who's King Arthur. Maybe one of them is trying to be Genghis Khan. It's really cool how they tied that in without really giving them their names from the beginning. So Fate Zero is it's a great show, and essentially to me, I'm telling everybody, if you want to watch something that is pleasing on the eyes, like animation wise, Fate Zero is where it's at.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so our last category is sports. So for all of you NBA, NFL, MLB fans out there, we're going to recommend a couple anime for you in the sports realm. I've watched a couple of sports anime, and they're pretty good, honestly. I like them a lot. So these will probably be a little bit quicker just because they're a little bit more self-explanatory. So, Hunter, take it away.
Yeah, we're just going to sit here and talk about this one really quickly. One of the sports ones that a lot of people will enjoy is Haikyuu. Haikyuu is on Netflix, Hulu, and Crunchyroll. It's about 73 episodes. It's another lengthy one, not super long, but it is one that if you want to sit down and have a good little watch, Haikyuu essentially is about it's a volleyball sports anime. That's about as quickly of a description I can give about it. Of course, they make all of the volleyball games a little bit more intense than you just sitting there watching it on ESPN. I can guarantee there's a little bit more slow-mo in these volleyball games than you'll ever see in a real volleyball game. It's one of those where teamwork is really everything, and one team is just trying to be the best, and along the way there's some fun opportunities. It's not always just pure straight seriousness. There is some fun along the way. I think it's one that if you're a sports fan and you're just looking to get into a little sports anime, Haikyuu's for you.
And then the next one that we have is called Kuroko's Basketball, and this is obviously a basketball anime. It follows this boy Kuroko, who is what you would deem not very talented at basketball. He's not very athletic, not a good scorer, but he's an absolute genius when it comes to passing and getting his teammates involved. And so it basically follows him and his best friend's journey to win the inter-high basketball championship. So it's really cool. It's fun. It's also got some playful undertones, some good comedic relief. And the basketball games are hilarious and awesome all at the same time, because there are some people that have almost like superpowers on the court. It's really cool, though. I mean, it's definitely really well done. The animation's great. So if you're into basketball, definitely recommend you all checking that one out.
And that is going to wrap up today's episode. Just basically us giving you some little hints. Maybe we're just giving you little insights on possible shows that if they that would interest you, just based off of your genre. You know, what you like, what genres, like fantasy, superhero, action, adventure, any genre that you enjoy. We just gave you one or two good examples for you to go back and watch.
Yeah, and also you can watch these in either Japanese with English subtitles or in English. I definitely recommend watching it in Japanese and reading the subtitles. Trust me, you'll get used to it really quick, and it makes everything more exciting. I've never been one that's liked the English dub because, I don't know, for example, like a guy saying, "What?" and a guy saying, "Nani?" It's just totally different. I mean, like the Japanese always sounds so much cooler. It's more intense. It's hilarious. So, yeah, check all these out. I'm sure that you'll love them. And thanks again, everyone, for tuning into episode 2. I hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, I think that just about wraps it up.
And that'll wrap it up here. We look forward to seeing you guys in episode 3. We don't know what topic that's going to be yet, so we're not even going to be able to tease that right now, but keep your eye out. Big thank you from myself, Hunter, and Jonah, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, Anime Society.